Hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Oh, man. Let me see. Do I remember how to do this? Do I remember how to do this, ladies and gentlemen? Well, if the best in the world can return to WWE after 10 years, I think the best podcaster in the IWC can return as well whenever he wants, right? Oh my goodness. Do you guys remember who I am? Do you guys need a reminder? Allow me to reintroduce myself. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka G-Lauren33. Welcome back to the Legit Shoot podcast. It has been a long time. Hold on. I gotta fix my zoom in. I'm telling you, maybe I'm a little rusty. Maybe I'm just a little bit rusty here. How does that look? Does that look a little bit better? I think that looks okay, right? Give me a second here, guys. You know, it's been a while. My tripod's a little bit dusty, you know? It's like when you left the old station wagon in the garage for a couple years. It's a little dusty. It takes a little while to warm back up, right? How does that look? Do I look good? How's that look? I think that looks pretty decent, right? I think that looks pretty good. Try that. How do we look? Man, my phone is falling. I think that looks okay, right? It looks okay to you guys? Trust me, once we have everything fully set up, we're good to go. Yeah, that looks good. Alrighty, let's try this one more time. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka G-Lauren33. I am back here tonight with an episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. It has been a while. I don't know how long it's been. I'm going to check right now. When was the last podcast we did? It was... Give me a sec here. I'm scrolling through... Golly. Last episode of the Legit Shoot podcast was February 19th, 2023. Was that February? So that was 9 months. 9 months without a full episode of this podcast, man. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't know if I was ever going to come back. I'm like CM Punk. I did not know if I was ever going to come back. Not because I didn't want to come back. It's because, I don't know, something just didn't feel right. I didn't have the desire. I don't know. It wasn't because I wasn't bored from the product. I was watching nearly every single week. I'm fully caught up of everything that's going on with WWE. Everything. You know? I'm caught up on all the storylines. I've been watching every week. But it's like I was waiting for something big. With all of the returns that happened, right? Everything that was going on, you would think that, oh, why isn't Fitz covering the product, right? He's not here ranting every single week like he used to be back when Vince McMahon was in charge, right? You know? But you guys, that's what you guys loved me for. All the rants, right? They give you the uncut, unfiltered reactions. And me always being brutally honest with you. Because that's all you guys would ever expect. right? That's all I asked of you guys. Be honest with me, and I would be honest with you. But why was I gone for so long? Was it because Sasha wasn't on TV? I think that's a valid reason, right? My last podcast was literally when she won the IWGP Women's Championship, right? So maybe because she wasn't on TV. I don't know. Or maybe it was because I was just waiting for something big, something so big to happen, something that happened to shape up the WWE landscape that I had no choice but to come back. Well, that's what happened. CM Punk came back. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I watched Survivor Series. I watched it live. I could have came on and made a reaction video right there. I could have brought the podcast back Saturday night for Survivor Series, but I chose not to. I was like, no, I'm going to wait 2 more days. Right? I'm going to wait 2 more days, and then I will make my return. Monday, and I considered backing out for a second. There was a time where I was like, maybe I won't do a review. Maybe they just don't care. But here I am, back. And it feels all familiar to me. It almost feels like I never left. I still have it, right? I still got the voice. I still got the swagger. And I'm not gonna lie, it feels good to sit behind this legendary microphone, sit in front of this camera, in this room, on this chair, in front of you guys. And if CM Punk can make his epic return after 10 years, I can too. And I'm happy to be in front of you guys tonight for the Legit Shoot podcast. I know it might take some time to get back to where we were. I'm going to be honest with you guys. We were gone for a while. We've lost some subscribers. I'm not going to sit here and say, expect everything to be back like it was. It wasn't. We've been gone for a while. And we lost some subscribers. I don't expect our views to be where they were. It's going to take time to get back. I know this YouTube game better than most. One of the keys to building a successful fan base is being consistent. I have not been that consistent this year. This has been my lowest year on YouTube ever because I haven't been making content. I've been so busy with other things going on in my personal life that I put YouTube on the back burner. But I want to come back to you guys. I want to get back to where we were and go even beyond that. And I hope you guys that have been loyal to me for all these years will come back and come back on this journey. For those who've never left, who stayed subscribed and are here tonight, thank you guys for your support. It is an honor to be back. And for those that may be new, right? Like I said, my name is Fitz. And I'm happy to be here. I cover wrestling, I cover anime, I cover sports on this channel. I do a little gaming here and there. This is just a place for you guys to relax and have a good time. That's what I try to do. Give you guys a little bit of a distraction, a brief distraction of what may be going on in your own world. And come here, have a good time. That's what we do on this podcast. That's what we do on this channel. So if you guys are new, man, I hope you guys will consider subscribing, leaving a like, and joining me on this journey. There's a lot we can talk about, man. I can talk about so many things. I can talk about AEW. I can talk about my thoughts on the WWE product from the last 10 months that I've been gone and I haven't been making videos. But I feel like you guys want me to talk about one thing and one thing specifically, and that is the return of CM Punk, right? And, I'm not gonna lie. I was completely shocked. And give me 1 second, guys. I want to see how Twitter is reacting. I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion of CM Punk's promo. I'm going to wait a little bit for WWE to upload the full promo. I expect the full promo to be here on YouTube in just a couple minutes. No matter if it's WWE's YouTube channel or USA Network or Fox. I'm sorry. I had to read some tweets real quick. Um, Once WWE uploads the full CM Punk promo, we're gonna react to it live. I watched it, and I have some interesting thoughts on it. You know, he said a couple things that are definitely going to be um analyzed. Some are gonna criticize. He said a couple controversial things. You know, it wasn't as, I would say, pipe bomb-ish. You know, it wasn't as pipe bomb-ish as, you know, I was hoping for. You know, like, just compare this promo to the promo CM Punk cut in AEW. And of course, this was his first promo in front of a WWE crowd in 10 years. Remember, WWE is different than AEW. There's differences between their product. All right. You know, there are times on WWE where you have to be a little scripted. You know, in AEW, you were allowed to be a little more unscripted, unfiltered a little bit. WWE, you know, they have, you know, huge TV deals, and you got to be careful what you say. You can't be swearing up a storm all the time like you might be allowed to on AEW, you know. So, you know, I liked CM Punk's promo. And of course, the very end where he said, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money, right? You know, I think that, of course, that was a fire way for him to end the promo and end the night. But I felt like the promo left a little bit to be desired. You know, he didn't really go into too much about why he left, right? You know, he didn't even mention AEW at all. And I don't know, we don't know what CM Punk and Triple H talked about over the last couple weeks, right? You know, we know that based on all the reports, they talked last week. Triple H, once they like broke the ice, the negotiations to getting a deal were done pretty quickly, right? But we didn't get any details of like what was actually discussed. I don't really care about Punk's contract or anything like that. We know he's gonna make a lot of money. He's probably gonna be one of the top owners, you know, earners in the company. I don't know how much, you know, he's making compared to like Roman Reigns or, you know, like a Brock Lesnar or Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins, like the biggest stars. He's probably somewhere up there, you know. And of course, with everything he makes via merch and all that, he's, you know, he's gonna bring in tons of money for the company, right? But I don't know, you know, that's not what is important to me, really, you know, because we know what happened to CM Punk in AEW. We know, you know, how it all went down, how controversial he was, and, you know, you can, you know, pick his side, or you could pick the side of the Bucks or Jack Perry. You know, his presence there caused a toxic environment, and there's really no choice but for Tony Khan to let him go. He had really no choice. And CM Punk really had one or two options. Well, he had three, but let's be serious. Him going to Impact Wrestling, come on. I don't think he was ever really going to, you know, unless they absolutely broke the bank, you know, to bring him in. But it was literally come back to WWE after 10 years of being gone, the place where he said he would never return, but now has changed now that, you know, creative is done under Triple H and Vince McMahon is gone for the most part. He's not fully gone, but for the most part, Vince is gone. You know, either come or really just go into the shadows, really, and then just, you know, live a quiet life. He has money. He's going to make a ton more now that he's back in WWE, but he's made tons of money. You know, he can do whatever he wants, but, you know, he still is in his 40s, right? I still think he has a couple great wrestling years left, right? We're seeing more than ever wrestlers are, you know, going into their late 40s, early 50s wrestling now, right? I still think he has a couple really good wrestling years left. And then from there, you know, see how long he lasts. You know, we know how controversial he is. We know how polarizing he is. But at the end of the day, he is fantastic for business. And he always has been, always will be. You know? Yes, for a long time, we never expected him to return. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to be one of these guys that say, oh, you know, I knew CM Punk was going to return. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't expect it. I really didn't. You know? And credit to Triple H, credit to everybody that had a role with him coming back. Honestly, Triple H, and then, you know, there was a couple people that knew because the reports said that, you know, the deal was kind of locked in last week, you know, early last week. So Triple H and probably a couple guys knew, right? The people that made his T-shirt, the people that made his graphics, right? But they did a fantastic job because a lot of the superstars that didn't find out until moments before the main event. And of course, we know later on this year or next year, right, we'll probably get a documentary of behind the scenes of the CM Punk return, which will be a must-see documentary to see how it all went down, because we know for damn sure they had tons of footage, tons of cameras, and all this other cool stuff, right? But Punk coming back is huge. For 10 years, we never thought he was going to come back. But after what happened with AEW, he really had no choice if he wanted to continue his wrestling career, right? As bad as things, as bad as things went down for Punk at the end in AEW, I don't expect those things to happen in WWE. WWE is structured completely differently. Of that, you don't hear in WWE. You hear of arguments, you hear of disagreements here and there, but you don't hear about full-blown fist fights going on, right? For the most part, over the years, no matter how you felt about Vince McMahon from a creative standpoint, right? When he came on, but they knew how to handle the superstars, right? The dirt sheets can report all this stuff, but for the most part, if there was issues, those were always handled backstage. So no matter how you felt about, Punk and how it ended AEW, I don't expect those things that happen in AEW to happen in WWE. Tony Khan, the way the AEW is ran, it's like the inmates run the asylum. The superstars, it feels like at times that they have more power than the leaders. And that's on Tony Khan. You can't, as great as wrestlers are, you can't give them complete freedom. It's like the NBA. People complain about people like James Harden forcing his way out of Philadelphia, right? Or all these other teams, the Brooklyn Nets, the Rockets, the Sixers, It's because part of it is, the league has allowed player empowerment and given the players so much power that they can get out of almost any situation, no matter how much money they're making. And that's the way I would say it is in AEW. AEW has allowed the superstars to have way too much power. And that's the reason why you see so many issues happening within AEW. Why those situations with Punk and the all-out press conference from last year, and then the brawl with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and then what happened earlier this year at All In London with him and Jack Perry. Those types of things are not going to happen. I'm not going to say Punk's not going to have disagreements. We know he's going to have disagreements. He's polarizing. Yeah, and I expect there to be some reports about Punk having disagreements with maybe Triple H or creative staff. But I don't expect the things that happened 10 years ago that led up to Punk leaving to happen again. I don't expect the things that happened in AEW with Punk and talent to happen again. I don't think so. Punk said in the first, or not the first line, but very early in his promo, he said that he changed. And I want to believe him, and I kind of do believe him. It's going to take some time for him to, probably, get believers on his side. It's going to take some consistency, because we know he's there for the long run. We know the deal he signed was for several years. I'm guessing it has to be maybe, a 2-3 year deal minimum, somewhere around there, right? He's going to be there for multiple years. Probably at least, forbidding injuries and all that. He's probably going to be there the next 3 WrestleManias. God willing. We'll see. Right? And he's going to make tons of money. I think over time, he has a sustained amount of time with no major incidents and stuff like that. People will trust him. Plus, like I said, WWE is structured differently than AEW. Those things that happen in AEW are not going to fly in WWE. And I think Punk also knows that this is kind of his last chance in the business. As big of a star he is, right? If he left WWE tomorrow, he can't go back to AEW because those superstars will not allow, or the owners, the people above Tony Khan, right? They wouldn't allow that to happen. They were the ones that wanted Tony Khan and said, "You have to get rid of him. You have no choice." I know Tony Khan was asked earlier on a podcast or an interview, "Oh, how do you think about CM Punk?" He legally can't speak about it. I know deep down Tony Khan hates that Punk went to his biggest rival, WWE, right? He never wanted to let Punk go regardless. He never really, and it's on part of what happened to AEW is on Tony Khan because he let Punk do whatever he wanted. He was such a fanboy for Punk that Punk would get away with almost anything. He would basically use Tony Khan because Tony Khan loved him so much. He thought he could get away with anything until the point where they had no choice but to fire him. That's the thing. That's not going to slide in WWE. Tony Khan, what happened with Punk is partly on Tony Khan. And, I know deep down Tony Khan hates this so much, but there's really nothing he can do about it. And I don't know if he'll ever say anything, at least not now, at least. Because legally, remember, Punk didn't say anything after his AEW release. We heard nothing. All we heard after Punk got released from AEW is right away, could he be going back to WWE? That was literally it. He didn't say anything about AEW because legally, probably when they released him, there was a part, at least for right now, there's probably a period of time where they can't talk about it. Just like Punk really never fully addressed the Bucks situation, what happened, and the Bucks and Kenny Omega, because it's a whole legal thing. And we know how Punk is, right? His lawyers probably made sure that they couldn't say anything bad against him, at least not now. Years down the line, we'll probably get some Dark Side of the Ring stuff, some epic documentaries about it. But for right now, we don't know what happened. We're probably never going to find out what happened. It might be months, years before we get Tony Khan's true thoughts of what happened and his true thoughts about Punk being in WWE. Tony Khan right now should focus on AEW and then building towards their last pay-per-view to end the year and, continuing or building momentum because AEW hasn't been that great as of late. There's a lot of reports QT Marshall is leaving the company. He was the guy that ran AEW Dark and Elevation, right? There was these reports coming out of, MJF's injured and, there's reports that MJF already secretly kind of re-signed with AEW, but it was never, we don't know if that's true or not, but I would probably expect that MJF's not leaving AEW, at least not right now, right? And he's probably going to be the face of that company for years to come. Unless he truly wants to go back to WWE. Or not go back, or he really wants to go to the, he was at the Performance Center years ago, but if he really wants to go to the WWE, Triple H would make MJF a star, but still, so yeah, but MJF, we're hearing reports that he's, he just tore, he has like a torn rotator cuff or torn ligament in his shoulder, torn labrum, which is a very painful injury. I would know. I've suffered from this injury for almost 10 years since I tore my labrum when I was in playing volleyball in high school. And we'll see. Maybe that leads to them taking the title off MJF at Samoa, to losing the title to Samoa Joe when those two face off later at the end of this year. We'll see, but maybe that's what's gonna happen there. So that MJF can go take some time off and get healthy, because you can make an argument that MJF's been the wrestler of the year. He's taken an absolute beating in the matches he's had. All year, matches with Samoa Joe, Kenny Omega, Jay White, Adam Cole, the list goes on and on and on. Darby Allin, MJF has went through an absolute gauntlet of opponents this year, beating almost everybody, all the top stars in AEW. So, I'm not against MJF losing that title in December to Samoa Joe and taking some time off to fully get healthy because he's young. He's going to be one of the faces of the pro wrestling industry for a decade to go, for at least the next decade. But if he's suffering all these injuries, he's young now. It's gonna, as time goes on, it's gonna shorten his career. And he should try to prioritize his health so he could prioritize his longevity. But we'll see. But like I said, all that stuff leads to me going back. Tony Khan should not be focused on Punk being in WWE. He should focus on the problems with AEW and building towards a good end of the year for them. That's what he should focus on. not focusing on what's going on with the competition, not what's focused on going about CM Punk. CM Punk is not there anymore. CM Punk is in WWE. Let CM Punk handle his business. You focusing on handle yours. Period. Right? WWE is gonna crush AEW going forward. You know, Tony Khan should just focus on putting on the best show that he possibly can for his company. Simple as that. And so back to Punk, right? Punk talking about how he changed. Like I said, Punk really doesn't have any other choice. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but this is kind of it for him. You know, if this doesn't go well, he doesn't. Where else is he gonna go? And I think it will go well. You know, I think Punk really understand. I really hope Punk took the last couple months really just to sit back and reflect, because he had everything going well for him in AEW, and he ruined it on two separate instances. First time, you know, he won the AEW World Championship, got injured, came back about 2 months later, right? Won the title back, right, from Jon Moxley, and then messed that up with the Young Bucks incident, you know, and with the epic media press conference, you know, the viral press conference from All Out, right? Then, you know, got suspended, and then, you know, he used that time, recovered from a triceps injury, came back 9 months later, earlier this year, you know, what was it, May or June, right? Came back on Collision, a show that was literally made for him. Then, what, you know, had the real world title reign that lasted less than 2 months, because basically he tried to introduce a second world title by, you know, claiming that the original AEW title that he won before he got suspended, claiming that was the real world title outside the MJF world title, right? And then we all remember he beat Samoa Joe at all at London, and then, you know, ruined that with the Jack Perry incident. And, you know, you can make your questions about whose fault you really thought that was, but at the end of the day, what happened, right? CM Punk ruined that for himself, and then he's been gone now, 2-3 months. I really hope he took time to really reflect on what went wrong in AEW and looked in the mirror and then was like, all right, do I want to continue wrestling? If I do, go back to WWE. How are things going to be different, right? There were so many things that led to me leaving 10 years ago, right? Nearly 10 years ago, 10 years to the day almost. And then there were so many things that went wrong. How can I fix those things, right? How can I make amends, you know? And how can I go back and make this better? I think a lot of it had to do now with Vince McMahon not being in charge as much, right? Vince McMahon's power has been diminished, and he might truly be on his way out here sooner rather than later. Triple H now being the head of creative, right? And then just, you know, mending those fences. I think Punk understanding, like, hey, you know, if I'm really about making money, if I'm really about, you know, enjoying the last couple of years of my wrestling career, because he isn't that young anymore, right? He's 45, you know. How can I do that? You know, and so him coming back to WWE, he really had no other choice, and he really had to make that decision. I truly hope, and I'm confident that, you know, he understands, like, all right, this may be it for me. And I'm gonna, you know, I'm not gonna make the same mistakes I made in AEW. I want to be here. I want to, you know, enjoy the years I have left wrestling, and then just have fun. And I'm excited for it. You know, the CM Punk we saw at Survivor Series a couple days ago, the CM Punk we saw tonight, he looks like a changed man. First off, he looks fantastic. He looks absolutely fantastic. I don't know if he lost some weight in the last couple months. He was in amazing shape in AEW. He was in good shape, but I don't know if it was, you know, that he lost some weight, or, you know, he's been sleeping better, or he got his, you know, I don't know what he was doing, but he looked in fantastic shape. He looked happy. He looked, you know, like he looks almost like 10 years younger. Like with the way he is. I don't know if it's just the short hair or it'll be interesting to see as time goes on. Remember when he came back to AEW a couple years ago, he came back looking like 2011 Punk, right? And then as time went on, he grew his hair out and then the beard, and he looked kind of old before he got himself suspended the first time, and then he came back with the shaven head. But he looked young as hell out there today. So I don't know, but it looked good. Like it didn't really hit me. Like, yes, the Return of Survivor Series, and I can't tell you how many, reaction videos I watched of other people reacting to his return, or how many times I went and actually rewatched his return, because I told myself it was not gonna truly hit me until we saw him in that ring tonight. And when we saw him in that ring tonight, right, him come out with the Titantron and the t-shirt, right, and to see him in a WWE ring, that's when it's like, okay, he's actually back. The biggest return in wrestling that we've waited almost 10 years for, and really thought might never happen, right? It's finally here. CM Punk is back, and it was great to see. I'm gonna check now. I'm gonna check now, see if they upload his promo on YouTube. It's been about 30 minutes since we're live, so hopefully it should be there by now. But and there's so many things that they can do with him. He is a star. He's gonna be a babyface, at least for now, right? We'll see over time. Maybe they eventually turn him heel, but just think about all the potential dream matches you can do with him now. All the rivalries you can do, you can reignite, right? Him versus Randy Orton. They were huge rivals back in the day. If Cena ever comes back, or when Cena comes back, right? It's crazy, because Cena just left 2-3 weeks ago to go back to Hollywood. And now, Punk comes back. Like, there was someone that posted all the crazy returns we've had for WWE in just the last 3 months. Like, we've had The Rock. We had Cena come back for that, that 2-month run. We had, Randy Orton that just came back, right? It's insane. Now Punk, if they want, when Brock Lesnar comes back, they can always run that back, right? Punk versus Cody Rhodes. We never got that in AEW. Because Cody was more on his way out when Punk was coming back in, right? Because Cody left about, I want to say about 3-4 months after Punk made his initial AEW debut. Like, we know Punk and Cody faced back in the day when they both were younger. But now it's on a completely different level. They're both two of the biggest stars in the industry. Two of the biggest baby faces in the company. Of course, Punk versus Rollins, which a lot of us believe may be the World Heavyweight title match they're setting up for Mania, which we all know they're setting up that feud. We all know that the Seth Rollins stuff was a work, right? Because of what Rollins had said about Punk in past interviews, right? That now being them taking that and then building that into a storyline, that was clearly a shoot, clearly a work. And that's going to lead, hopefully, maybe into either something at the Rumble or WrestleMania. And they heavily teased that tonight. We'll get to that in a little bit. Punk versus McIntyre. They faced off back in the day, but now those two are on completely different levels, right? Punk versus Sami Zayn. Punk versus Jey Uso. Punk versus Finn Balor, right? Punk versus Dominic Mysterio. Punk versus Roman Reigns, right? Punk did mention Paul Heyman in his promo tonight. So that's a match they could do. I don't think they should do it at WrestleMania. I think we all know it should be Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, but you never know. Punk versus LA Knight, Punk versus Gunther. The list goes on and on and on. There's so many matches, that they can do with Punk, and I'm here for all of them. I don't know what his schedule is gonna be like. I don't know if Punk's gonna be. Punk was pretty much full time in AEW. So we'll see if Punk's going to be full-time in WWE wrestling, almost every single week. Will Punk be doing house shows, right? I think he probably will be doing some live events here and there. Of course, it's not like it was when Punk was there 10 years ago. Remember, they were wrestling 5 times a week, 6 times a week. You would do Monday Night Raw, and then you have Tuesday off, and then you would be back on the road either Wednesday or Thursday doing house shows, and then sometimes you're on SmackDown or you're doing a house show, and then Saturday, and then Sundays, either a house show or a pay-per-view. Now it's much less. Like, for the most part, now you're wrestling really maximum 4 times a week. It's usually 3 or 4 times a week now. Now it's, either Monday or Friday, Raw or SmackDown, sometimes both. Sometimes Saturday a pay-per-view. If not, Saturday and Sundays are usually live events now. So they have significantly decreased the live event schedules since Punk was there. So he's not going to be wrestling as much. Of course, wrestling 5 times a week, the wear and tear on your body, it has to be something else. Punk will have to deal with that, and I'm willing to bet Punk won't be at every single live event. He'll be at some here and there. But it'll be interesting to see what his schedule's like. I think at minimum he'll have a little more than what a normal part-timer has. Like, I think he'll wrestle more than like Logan Paul, but he won't be full-time, always there, like other superstars. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is there every single week. But, I think he'll have more of a friendly deal where he'll spend a good amount of time, doing promos and stuff like that, but won't be wrestling every single week like some other superstars. So, and I'm here for it. I'm excited for it, man. There's nothing better than having Punk back. Something we thought would never happen, but here we are. CM Punk is indeed back, and I couldn't be happier about it. So let me see. I'm gonna see if we have the YouTube clip yet. Man, oh my gosh, my voice is. I gotta get back to pot. If I'm I don't know if I'm going to be back doing this all the time. I'm not going to lie. My voice is a little bit, I got to get used to it again. I'm going to be honest. I got to get used to it again. My voice is a little bit like, whoosh. Like, I've been talking for 30 minutes. I'm like, woo. So let me see. So WWE already posted. WWE has already posted the full link. They already posted 2 separate
where women's sports is
2 separate videos. They have one here of Punk on Monday Night Raw highlights, and then they have Punk's full promo, which was an 8-minute. It was an 8-minute. Well, it was less than 8 minutes. The promo was more like, because Punk came out right around, I want to say 10:51, and WWE has to go off the air right at 11. Right, for whatever USA has on next. So he had to get out there and cut his promo. I would say gave him a little bit more time, but still. So we're going to play the promo here for you guys. I'm going to try to mute the entrance so I don't get copyrighted. It's so unreal to see him back in the WWE ring. I love the new t-shirt, the black and blue with his iconic logo. I love it. The thing that's crazy is he looks so much younger. And I'm muting the video here just so I'm trying to not get copyright. I know, like, Living Color is, clearly it's a revamped version. It's a revamped version of his old theme, right? The Cult of Personality theme. It's like a re-recorded version. It's not the same version of Cult of Personality from back when he was originally in WWE 10 years ago. It's a little bit different, but still, it's still amazing. So he's back to doing the best in the world. He didn't do it as much. He did not do it as much in AEW. His entrance was a little bit different, but and he doesn't have the best in the world on the back of his t-shirt, at least not yet. He has the best in the world Titantron, and it seemed like he didn't do the best in the world gimmick that much in AEW. He didn't. But it seems like he's going back to the best in the world gimmick that he had, at his peak in WWE 10 years ago. He's doing the best in the world and all that, and he says it a lot in this promo. So he looks so. I know I keep saying it, but he looks so much younger. But I need him to grow his hair back out. I need 2011 Punk. I need that look again.
Looks like hell froze over. Looks like hell froze over. And when I mean hell froze over, I mean this is me standing in a WWE ring on Monday Night Raw with a live microphone in my hand. I don't mean the fact that apparently a Blackhawks. This is me standing in a WWE ring on Monday Night Raw with a live microphone in my hand. I don't mean the fact that apparently a Blackhawks fan is universally loved inside the Predators barn.
He's always making his Blackhearts references. He's a huge hockey guy.
I had to. You guys understand that. I gotta be me, right? Sorry, I had to. You guys understand that. I gotta be me, right? And lately, I've been feeling a little bit more like myself ever since Saturday, which was a career highlight for me. I've been trying to come up with the words and the language to explain to all of you exactly how I feel. And I've come to two words, and I'm afraid to say them, honestly. And it's not because they're not true. It's because I'm a little bit scared of how true they actually are. And it's a little bit corny, and it's a little bit cheesy, and it's not going to sound like CM Punk. But I've changed. And once upon a time, an American dream taught me that as long as... And once upon a time, sound like CM Punk. But I've changed.
I really... That was not the two words he says. When he says the two words, it's like, whoosh. And we'll get to that. But he says, I've changed, right? And like I said, I truly do believe that this Punk is different. I'm not talking from his character. I'm talking about the person behind the CM Punk character, the Phil Brooks guy. I really, this is not the Punk from AEW. That I feel like Punk really just wants to be happy now. He wants to be happy, and and he wants to enjoy these last couple of years he has in the wrestling business, of course, like as a full-time performer. Because he's not old anymore. He was gone for 7 years. Remember, he left at, in the peak of his wrestling career, right? When he left in 2014, there was no AEW. There was really only Impact or Ring of Honor. He left for 7 years. When, he left, what was he, 45? He left when he was around 36, still young. I think that's right around how old Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are right now. Excuse me. He left in the middle of his peak years. And then, we all know he went to UFC and everything like that. Now he's back all these years later. I really do think he wants things to be different this time. And I really hope it is for him. Mainly for him. Not just as, of course, a little bit for me as a wrestling fan and for all of us, but really for him. I want him to be happy and really enjoy, being back. This is a special moment. This is these last couple of years for Punk, and especially his return at Survivor Series. This will go down as one of the biggest returns in the history of the wrestling industry. Yes, you thought his return to AEW was big. His return to Survivor Series, I think, is bigger than his initial return to AEW. Because there was always the thought that he could come back to the wrestling, but you never thought he would come back to WWE. After everything he said, after everything he has said about WWE, especially in his AEW promos, right? You thought there was never, ever a shot that he would ever come back. And now look at him. Now just seeing him, it's still insane to think about.
And once upon a time, an American dream taught me that as long as you speak from the heart, you cannot go wrong because it is the truth. And this is the truth.
Yeah, that's true. I love Dusty Rhodes, man. That is the truth. Be yourself, and the audience will accept you.
I'm home.
I'm not gonna lie. When he said that, I laughed. I was on Discord with some friends watching it. I thought it was bullshit. Truly, because hearing that, it just didn't feel right. It really, because it, after hearing everything he said about WWE and AEW, we all remember when he first came back. I was never gonna get better going back to the place that got me sick in the first place, right? That was clearly a reference to WWE. And of course, I know Vince was still in charge at that time, but still, right? You see my point. And then, the thing with Max, when MJF kept talking about, the bidding war for 2024 and him potentially leaving AEW to go to WWE. Punk said, hey, if you want to go, if the grass is so greener on the other side, go, go be in the main event of a buy one, get one free, in night 4 of a buy one, get one free extravaganza. Clearly, a dig at WWE for doing multiple nights of WrestleMania, right? And then come back here and your ass will still be mine, right? I'll still be here waiting for you to give you that ass whooping. It's crazy now how everything completely flipped, right? MJF is still at AEW. He's the world champion, and now Punk is back in WWE and will probably main event night 1 of WrestleMania next year. It's insane to think about. So, and all the other things he said, and everything he said, and then for him to say, I'm home, right? It's insane. Remember, he said in that promo initially, what was it? 2005, I left the professional wrestling world, and then August 17th, 2021, I'm back, right? Basically almost saying that when he left Ring of Honor to go to WWE, that he left professional wrestling. He went into the sports entertaining business. And then when he went to AEW, he had made a full return to professional wrestling. So then they hear him say, I'm home. It sounded like bullshit. Because there's some people out there that believe he is a sellout, and he kind of is a sellout. But I don't care. Because I love CM Punk at the end of the day. I love what he brings to wrestling as a fan. And I love WWE. I'm a WWE fan. I'm a wrestling fan, right? I go to AEW shows, but I'm always a WWE fan to my core because that's what I grew up with. So to see CM Punk back, I couldn't ask for anything else. Well, I could. I wish Cena was back. I wish Sasha Banks was back. Maybe she will come back, but that's a conversation for another day. But CM Punk say I'm home, it sounds a little bullshitty. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'm not gonna sit here like, yes, he's home. Welcome home. Welcome. Like, no, I can't sit here and say that. It sounds a little like bullshit. It does sound a little like bullshit if you ask me, but it's whatever. Maybe it was just for the sake of the promo. When The Rock says I'm home, when John Cena says I'm home, right? Yes, it's believable. But after everything Punk said about WWE, when he says I'm home, I have to call bullshit a little bit on that. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but I'm not going to complain. I'm happy he's back. But I cringed a little bit when he said that. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
I've come back to this familiar place, and I didn't know how I was going to react, and I didn't know how it was going to go, but it has made me feel like my old self, because this is where I belong. This is home, and I've been gone for 10 years, and over 10 years, you people never forgot me, even when maybe I wanted for 10 years. This is home, and I've been gone for 10 years, and over 10 years, you people never forgot me, even when maybe I wanted to forget me. And that's powerful. You are all powerful. A bunch of continents, countless countries, arenas all over the world, the people watching at home, the people in the building never stopped chanting my name. The voiceless found their voice, and I couldn't be more proud of you, and I heard you, and that's why I'm back, because I love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys, and I've missed you guys, and I've missed all of this, and I wish I could say I never had to leave, but once upon a time, a wise man told me, for me to get everything I need out of this place, I'd have to leave and come back.
Paul Heyman, there's the wise man reference. And if that's going to be one of the biggest things, not really if, but when, I don't think they should rush to do a CM Punk Roman Reigns feud. I think, of course, the match that they should focus on is Punk versus Rollins going forward. And I think that's where they're heading, and that, we'll see, build it up for WrestleMania. But, of course, if they want to do a Punk and Roman feud down the line, maybe SummerSlam next year, right? Or maybe, WrestleMania the year after that, because we all know it should be Cody and Roman. It should be Cody and Roman. I think, of course, a lot of that, as good as a Cody and Roman feud will be when we get there, of course, a lot of it's going to be a Punk and Roman feud will be. I think a lot of it, of course, it's going to draw on the fact of that Punk and Heyman relationship, since Punk was an original Paul Heyman guy, right? And Paul Heyman Roman's not a Paul Heyman guy. Paul is Roman's wise man. It's completely different, dynamic. But, of course, Punk and Heyman and their history, that goes back even before their time in WWE, I think that would be one of the coolest elements to it. And we all remember, of course, Punk and Heyman, they did have that feud back in 2013, 10 years ago. That lasted almost half a year. That was a long feud between Punk and Heyman. I think, seeing that play out again on WWE TV is something like I cannot wait to see, knowing their history.
Hate to say the wise man was right.
And also, yeah, especially in WWE, one of the things you have to sometimes, unless you're like a Randy Orton or a John Cena, like handpicked by Vince McMahon, a Roman Reigns, a Brock Lesnar, right? Those are guys that were handpicked by Vince McMahon and turned into top stars from day one, right? Sometimes you have to leave and become a big star somewhere else to come back to WWE and get the treatment you deserve. Case in point, Cody Rhodes. Case in point, Drew McIntyre. Case in point, CM Punk was a little bit different. CM Punk was already a top star when he left, right? Punk turned himself into a top guy, with the Summer of Punk and the 2011 feud with John Cena. And then he left, for 7 years, then came back. Sometimes you do have to leave the business to get everything you wanted. And honestly, I don't know if Punk would have ever come back to WWE. Even when he was in AEW, there was a lot of conversations of Punk wanting to come back, but I never really thought it would happen. Maybe down the line, but now, here he is. Here he is. And, Paul Heyman was right.
But that's why I'm back, to get everything I need out of this place. I'm back for you because you are home. Saturday night was an amazing moment. Monday night is an amazing moment. Try to have the words to explain to you how it feels, but in front of and behind the camera, it's been nothing but love. It's been nothing but hugs. It feels like a family reunion. Everybody back there is happy to see me, and it's all smiles. A few people kissed me on the mouth. It's welcome back, welcome home. We've missed you. We're happy to see you. By the way, how's AJ? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, AJ is fabulous, and she sends her regards.
I love AJ. I'm a huge AJ Lee fan. Huge AJ Lee. AJ Lee was my favorite women's wrestler before Sasha Banks came along. The rumors have been swirling. Will AJ come back? Especially now that her husband's back in WWE. Remember, they met in WWE. Remember, they had that famous storyline in 2012 when Punk was WWE champion. That little love triangle with Punk and Bryan Danielson back then. And then, of course, John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, and Kane, where AJ was literally making out with every single male superstar, right? It was cool to see Punk actually mention AJ on live TV, and then for AJ to get that reaction, knowing that there's still so many people that love and remember who AJ is. And maybe AJ will come back. I know AJ has said never say never, but don't catch your breath. Or don't hold your breath. I still think, especially now that Punk is back full time with WWE, I think there's a chance. Royal Rumble is just 2 months away. Triple H, he works wonders, right? I do think the women's division could use a star like AJ. If we could get AJ and Sasha Banks back at the Rumble, I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it. We'll see what happens down the line, but I would love to see AJ back for another run. So it was cool to see Punk mention AJ. Because Punk never mentioned AJ on AEW, but I love that Punk mentioned her here, and to see AJ get that reaction was really, really cool.
Is happy to see you. By the way, how's AJ? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, AJ, happy to see you. By the way, how's AJ? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, AJ is fabulous, and she sends her regards. We're happy to see you. By the way, how's AJ? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, AJ is fabulous, and she sends her regards. Everybody has welcomed me back with open arms. Well, almost everybody.
Clearly Seth Rollins, right? Because we've seen Seth Rollins cut a promo earlier in the night, basically kind of ignoring or saying he doesn't want to waste any time on a hypocrite like CM Punk. And of course, we all saw the famous, the viral video of Punk or of Seth Rollins with the middle fingers at Punk from Survivor Series. So of course, which is an angle that they're setting up for, most likely WrestleMania. It's funny how Punk comes back right away, and he's already, even though plans are that there's nothing penciled in for Punk yet, let's be honest, most likely it's going to be Punk versus Rollins at Mania.
Some people are afraid. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of what they don't understand, but I understand. Everything I've ever wanted has always been here. The competition here, week in and week out, competes to be the best in the world, but the best in the world has not been here for almost 10 years.
There it is, the best in the world.
For week out competes to be the best in the world, but the best in the world has not been here for almost 10 years. I understand being afraid. They're afraid that I just set the bar to an unattainable level. They're afraid that the brass ring is in my back pocket and they can't grab it. They're afraid that the most dangerous and controversial, feared man in this industry just walked through the front door and there's nothing that they can do about it. Some people are afraid that tomorrow morning when they wake up, they're going to have to come to terms with the fact that their best efforts at being the best in the world in this ring, on this mic, afraid that tomorrow morning when they wake up, they're going to have to come to terms with the fact that their best efforts at being the best in the world in this ring, on this microphone,
even at commentary,
even at this microphone, even at commentary, isn't just false. Even
I love it. I love that. It's a famous line. It's a famous line.
Best in the world in this ring, on this microphone.
You can hear the fans say it in the. I love it. You can hear the fans say it in the crowd. I love it. I love it.
Even at this microphone, even at commentary,
look at Michael Cole's smile.
Isn't just false. In this ring, on this microphone,
Oh.
even at commentary.
Oh no. Oh, we're still live. Yay. My battery just fell out. See, guys, I am rusty. Oh. See, man, this tripod is rusty. I might need to get a new tripod. For a second, I thought I broke my camera. There we go. Be good? That's what we call being rusty, guys. First podcast back, and I almost destroyed my camera. Jeez, man. Oof. That was nerve-wracking. tripod. I'm trying to fix it, guys. All right, give me a second. Yeah, I'm rusty. I know. I'm rusty. Give me a break. Give me a break. Anyway, all right. I had to like freaking sort myself back out here. But let's finish the program.
Just front door and my back pocket. Just set the bar. Stand here for almost 10 years. Wanted has always been here. Afraid. Everybody has welcomed me back with open arms. Well, almost everybody. Some people are afraid. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of what they don't understand, but I understand. Everything I've ever wanted has always been here. The competition here, week in and week out, competes to be the best in the world, but the best in the world has not been here for almost 10 years. I understand being afraid. They're afraid that I just set the bar to an unattainable level. They're afraid that the brass ring is in my back pocket and they can't grab it. They're afraid that the most dangerous and controversial, feared man in this industry just walked through the front door and there's nothing that they can do about it. Some people are afraid feared man in this industry just walked. Most dangerous and controversial, feared man in this industry just walked through the front door and there's nothing that they can do about it. Some people are afraid that tomorrow morning when they wake up, they're going to have to come to terms with the fact that their best efforts at being the best in the world, in this ring, on this microphone, at being the best in the world, in this ring, on this microphone, even at commentary, isn't just false, but it's a lie. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name is... Standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name is... The best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name in color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his living color in Nashville, Tennessee. The world is standing. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name is... And the best in the world is... Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name is... make money.
There you go. I know I had to rewind. If you guys remember, I do that a lot. I rewind the promos a lot. I analyze every little thing. Then, because the best in the world is back. The best of the world is sitting in a ring on a Monday night in Nashville, Tennessee, and his name is CM Punk.
And his false, but it's a lie. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his live and in best in the world is back, but it's a lie. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name is...
Because the best in the world is back. Because the best in the world is back and is standing in the middle of the ring in Nashville, Tennessee on a Monday night.
Ring. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name is...
And there you go. There you go. You know, there's nothing else to say. There's really nothing else to say. It was a good promo. Of course, I love it. He didn't mention AEW at all. He didn't mention anything about AEW. He didn't mention anything about any of the things said. It was almost like his time in AEW didn't happen. It was like if you didn't watch AEW at all, if you had no idea what AEW was, right? It was like if you, it was like if you had been in a coma for the last, 10 years, right? It was like Punk had never returned to wrestling, and he had just decided to come back finally after 10 years. There was nothing about AEW. He didn't say anything bad, nothing at all. So his promo wasn't as controversial. It was a good promo. It was basically, reasserting that he is the best in the world and he's back, right? But still, maybe over time we'll hear some more about what happened. But he looks motivated again. He looks great. It was different. Back when in AEW, his promo was talking about working with the younger talent and working with the talent that he had, or how he had that passion stomped out of him 10 years ago. WWE. He didn't mention any of that in his promo. Basically, his promo here was that he was back, to once again remind people that he is the best in the world, right? And how happy he is to be back and how he's home. No matter if you truly believe that or not. But still, it was a different promo than the one he cut in AEW. For sure. So, I want to see. I'm going to go on Twitter real quick. I know we spent an hour talking about this, but come on. What did you guys expect? That was the point. Like, you guys knew we were going to talk about Punk for the majority of this podcast tonight. We'll see. I do think a lot more about the AEW stuff and a lot of the bad things he did say about WWE will come back, as time goes on with the Seth Rollins feud. So this was more about his return and him being back. But I feel like they'll dive a lot deeper into Punk being gone and all these other things and the things he said about WWE in the last decade and why he was gone for so long. I feel like they'll go deeper into that once we get more deeper into the CM Punk Seth Rollins feud. But for now, this was just about Punk being back. That's my thing. All right. But we're going to get into the rest of Monday Night Raw tonight because Punk wasn't the only thing. All right. Of course, Punk was the most anticipated thing, and you knew they were going to save that for the main event. But we also had another big return. It was the return of Randy Orton, one of the greatest of all time, to Monday Night Raw after being gone for a year and a half after his back injury. And if you guys didn't see Survivors, I didn't do a Survivor Series review, my bad. But the whole big thing with Survivor Series, Randy Orton looked amazing, and he looked happy to be back. And I'm so glad that Randy Orton is back. I love Randy Orton, one of my all-time favorites. But my thing, there's only one thing. First off, he looks absolutely jacked. Randy Orton has always been in amazing shape. He's always had, in my opinion, one of the best six-packs in wrestling history. He's always been in fantastic shape, but I don't know what he was doing over the last year and a half. He is in better shape than he ever has been. He came in looking 3 times bigger. Randy Orton's a big man, but I don't know. He looks twice as big as he used to be. His legs are humongous, right? And remember, Randy Orton's a little bit older. I believe Randy Orton's older than CM Punk at this point, right? How old is Randy Orton? Randy Orton's actually, no, he's younger than CM Punk by 2 years. Jeez, yeah. Punk's 45, Orton's 43, John Cena's 46. So he's actually a little bit older. He's a little bit younger than CM Punk, which is kind of crazy to think about it. But yeah, man, that's crazy. But yeah, Orton, like look, his chest, his abs, his body, like I don't know, like I definitely think WWE low-key gives some of their superstars steroids. Let's look at Brock Lesnar, but I don't know what Randy Orton's been doing these last couple of years, or this last year and a half, but he looks more jacked than he ever was. In absolute insane shape. Plus, Orton came back, after Survivor Series went off the air, he stayed signing autographs and meeting fans for over 20 minutes. But Randy Orton's never been the biggest, the biggest or the nicest guy when it comes to fans. There's videos out there where he refuses to sign autographs at times, especially when he's out in public with his family, but he truly looks so happy to be back. Randy Orton, he spent his entire adult life as a WWE superstar. Remember, he's been there for over 20 years. He started when he was 23. He's 43 now, and Orton gave a signal that, he hopes to be wrestling for 10 more years at the end of Survivor Series. I don't know if he'll make it that long, but, especially with all the punishment he's taken over the last 2 decades. But, with the kind of shape he is, I really do hope he can. I love Randy Orton, one of my all-time favorites. And yeah, I don't know how you get in that kind of shape. I really don't. But Orton came back tonight, and I would say the one problem I had with his return, and there's only one. We all know Orton's a way better heel than a babyface, right? Of course, when he was with Riddle and RK Bro, right? Because of Riddle, and Riddle is a natural babyface, it made sense, right? And it worked well. The dynamic and the chemistry that Riddle and Orton had was amazing. That's why, with Orton being back now and Riddle getting released after, all of his kind of off-screen issues, it was kind of like, damn, I would have loved to see an RK Bro reunion. Maybe down the line, Matt Riddle will come back and we'll get that reunion. I would love for us to get that. Especially since their tag team title run got cut a little bit short because of because of the bloodline, and the bloodline, the overarching storyline there. So I definitely think Matt Riddle could return to WWE one day, and I would love to see him and Orton have a reunion of sorts. And we all knew eventually that if Orton had not gotten injured, eventually Orton would have probably turned on Matt Riddle, and that leading to maybe a SummerSlam or WrestleMania match. Because we all know Orton's a better heel than he's a babyface, right? For now, it's okay because Orton just came back, and of course, everyone's happy to see him. It looks like they're potentially setting up an Orton Roman Reigns match for the Rumble potentially. Which of course, even though we know Roman would win that, I still want to see it. I love Orton and Roman. They have a lot of history, and I have no problem with them potentially doing that for the Rumble. But I think down the line, eventually, we're gonna all want to see Orton turn heel. No matter if that's maybe before WrestleMania. There's plenty of time right now. There's no rush for them to do anything. But, and also one thing, Monday Night Raw has tons of world champions and a lot of baby faces. SmackDown, of course, with SmackDown, right? You have Roman, who's a part-time champion. You have Logan Paul, who's a part-time champion. Raw is stacked, loaded with baby faces and loaded with top talent. So, especially with tons of former world champions. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton now, CM Punk, right? And then you have guys like Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, right? Finn Balor, who's also a former world champion. Damian Priest, who's Mr. Money in the Bank. It's a loaded roster. Gunther's going to be a world champion one day, in my opinion. It's a loaded roster. Cody Rhodes, right? And for the most part, SmackDown has a decent roster, but it's nowhere close to as loaded as Raw. And yes, of course, it makes a little more sense for Raw to be more loaded because it's a 3-hour show. But I'm feeling bad for SmackDown a little bit, especially since they don't have as much top tier talent, especially when Roman Reigns is gone half the time. So but I'm telling you, especially with all those baby faces they have right now, it's only a matter of time until someone turns heel. I mean, of course, we know Drew McIntyre will probably be. Drew McIntyre is in the process of a very slow heel turn, but it's being done perfectly. I definitely think, of course, down the line, Randy Orton heel turn has to happen, just because Randy Orton's a natural heel. Like I said, I'll accept Orton as a babyface for now, especially since he just came back, and of course, he's gonna be insanely over, and the fans absolutely love him. But I think down the line, we're going to need a Orton heel turn at some point. Because, Orton can get a little bit stale as a babyface just because he's such a natural heel. And Orton has said it multiple times. Sometimes it gets boring being the good guy. He's a natural heel. Especially right now, Orton, he came out tonight in a black tee, joggers, sneakers. I'm eventually going to need Orton coming out in his, the classic sleeveless hoodie, and his trunks, and slowly get that heel turn. I need the Orton to grow that mustache back out. I know bald Randy Orton, facial hair reminds people of 2009 Randy, but I want Randy to grow that mustache back out. Or bring back that beard. Remember that beard he had in 2011? Bring that back. So I'm going to play Orton's promo here. I'm not going to play every single promo we got from tonight's show. We're already almost an hour and a half into the stream, but I do want to put in Randy Orton's promo.
Listen to music without muting the world around you.
I didn't really take you as someone who would do favors for others, or team with someone who tried to end your career, or have your big return a year and a half in the making upstaged.
And every week it's Rhea this, Rhea that, mommy this, mommy that, mommy this, mommy that, Rhea that, mommy.
I love it. Mommy this, mommy that.
Every week it's Rhea this, Rhea that. Mommy this, mommy that, mommy this, mommy that. Well, guess what, Rhea? Daddy's back.
Oh, man. Woo! I was hoping Orton would RKO her. But nothing against Rhea Ripley. I love Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley right now is the best female wrestler in the world. Of course, that's when, Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné is on the shelf and not wrestling, But Rhea Ripley has been the best women's wrestler all year. She is a star, absolute star, and I love Rhea Ripley. But I would have loved to see Orton RKO her here, just because nothing against Rhea Ripley, but it would have made my night to see Orton RKO Rhea Ripley here, because we know especially that's Orton's thing. How many women has he RKO'd over the years?
She says a lot of things have changed. It's true. A lot of things have changed since I've been out. Seriously, you're right. A lot of things have changed, Rhea, since I've been gone. But the one thing that hasn't changed, the one thing that will never, ever change as long as I am here, is that nobody tells Randy Orton what to do.
Off from behind, that's J.D. McDonough and Dirty Dom. The trap was laid by Rhea, and Dominic and J.D. McDonough assaulting Orton.
There's always a plan. There's always...
McDonough driven into the post. He wears that neck break. And again from behind. Oh, and again from behind. RKO out of nowhere. And again from behind. RKO out of nowhere.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Don't you go too far, Dom. Don't you leave this damn arena, because as soon as I leave this ring, I'm gonna find Adam Pearce. And I'm gonna make damn sure that I get you in this ring one-on-one tonight! Get you in this ring one-on-one tonight!
I love Randy Orton, man. The energy he brings, that nice deep voice. And of course the RKO is perfection. I don't care, cut out the cutter, the diamond cutter, whatever you want. It's the best cutter in the business. Outside of Stone Cold Steve Austin's cutter, right? It's the best cutter in the business. It's so clean, so fluent, so out of nowhere. It's unexpected. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I will say this: him feuding with the Judgment Day, kind of predictable, a little predictable, right? It seems like every babyface on Raw now, right? One of their first feud is feuding with the Judgment Day. It makes sense, of course. Judgment Day are the top heels on Raw. But it was kind of, I kind of predicted, right? After War Games, they kind of, they want to move. War Games is supposed to be kind of like a feud ender, right? You want to start sending Cody towards Roman, right? Slowly but surely, especially now that there's no more pay-per-views from now to the Rumble, right? But they have 2 months to build towards the Rumble. So they're going to slowly build towards that pay-per-view. You want to start slowly having Cody shift focus towards the Rumble, slowly shift focus towards finally finishing the story with Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins set up his next opponent, slowly put those little teases for CM Punk, right? The Drew McIntyre heel turn, what you're going to do with Sami Zayn and things like that. So, and of course, Judgment Day got some new challenges for the tag titles tonight as well. So, yes, you kind of want to, do some different things, kind of move some of these superstars onto new angles since they've been mainly feuding with each other for months now, right? But it was kind of predictable, right? Orton's on Raw again, right? Who are you going to have Orton's big first feud with? The Judgment Day. Kind of makes sense. It makes sense a little bit. Judgment Day has some beef with Randy Orton because Orton kind of got involved in their business, coming to Cody's aid at War Games and things like that, But also, one thing that Orton didn't mention in here, Orton said he came back because he hadn't competed in a War Games match. It was one of the only things he hasn't done in his career. But he also wants to get payback on the Bloodline. And he said every single member of the Bloodline, So specifically, people thought, oh, that meant, of course, Jey Uso, right? But later in the night, Orton and Jey Uso had a backstage segment, and Jey apologized for what he did to Orton when he was a member of the Bloodline and that he was a changed man. He also thanked Orton for what he did for him while he was in at War Games, kind of having his back, right? So Orton said, hey, you're not a member of the Bloodline anymore, so I don't really have beef with you, as long as you're not a member of the Bloodline, I don't owe you anything. I've seen what you've done, and you seem like a changed man now, so there's no beef between us. So they shook hands, but you never know. Oh, Randy Orton, he's a viper, he's a snake. So you never know. Maybe he does have an RKO saved up for Jey at some point, but we'll see. But clearly Orton said he has his main goal right now is he has receipts for every single member of the Bloodline. And, so don't be surprised if Orton appears out of nowhere to RKO Roman Reigns here, and because I think that's where we're heading. I think Orton versus Roman for the Undisputed World title at Mania, or not at Mania, at the Rumble is what they're setting up here. Of course, I don't expect Orton to win, unfortunately, but still, the story, it's going to be fun, and I'm looking for it, and those two are going to put on a banger of a match. I said this in my Discord server. I would love to see Orton RKO Roman and then hit him with the punt, just for Roman to kick out at 2.5, because Roman kicks out of everything. So that's what I would love to see happen, just so I can get a good laugh out of it. But that's what's happening there, and yeah. Later in the night, of course, we had Randy Orton versus Dominic Mysterio. It was official. This wasn't a long match. It was about 10 minutes, of course, because they had to get to the CM Punk promo to end the show. And, so it was an okay match. Of course, like I said, I don't expect them to do too much here. I feel like they want to slowly build Orton back up, right? He didn't do too much in the War Games match. And he didn't take too many crazy bumps here. For the most part, Orton dominated this match. You don't want to have him having these crazy 20-minute, 30-minute matches yet, right? Especially because even though Orton's been doing it for 20 years, he was gone for a year and a half. So you want to give his body some time to get back to, used to, the bumps and the bruises, and of course the soreness, right? And you want to make sure his back is okay, like that back surgery was no joke, and it was great to see him fully recover it, but still, it's something you got to be careful with. So it was, for the most part, Orton dominated. JD McDonough got involved multiple times. Orton took him out, and then he did his patented suplex slam on Dominic, where he absolutely just throws his opponent on the announce table. He did it twice. It's crazy how the announce table doesn't break when they do that. And then he got back into the ring. JD McDonough got involved again, but Orton, I think, took him out with a DDT. And then he went for an RKO on Dominic, but Dominic reversed into a 619. But then when he went for the frog splash, Orton rolled out of the way, hit him with an RKO for the victory. 1, 2, 3. Orton gets his first singles victory back on Raw. Great to have the Viper back, of course. I wonder how Orton feels now that he's old enough where Triple H is now booking most of his matches. Now that Triple H is the creative director. Wonder how that actually makes Orton feel. You know, how things come full circle 20 years into the business. But, you know, great to have Orton back. We'll see how, you know, how slowly they build towards Randy versus Roman, because I believe that's what the plan is going to be going forward for the Rumble. So we'll see. But great to have Orton back. But, you know, like I said earlier, we're going to need heel Orton here sooner rather than later. I've been looking at Twitter here. A lot of people agree with me. They were left a little disappointed with Punk's promo. And, you know, so yeah, a lot of people